Oh my goodness. This is like a Saturday and we are together here. You know, it's like we do this usually on Fridays. I mean, don't we do that? It's like there's someone answering the questions on the music here. It's happy Saturday, everybody. We are so happy to have you here, and I am so grateful to have one of the coolest people on LivePD who's ever been on the show before, someone who I truly think the world of. See, it takes a while for Michael to sing on this, and he said, you know, I like Michael Jackson, I like pop, you know, I like stuff there. Black and White is one of my, I love Bad, I love the Thriller album, but this one really goes, it really goes good. So anyway, I wanted to say, we've got some stuff to talk about today with him, by the way. Sergeant David Moreno from the Utah Highway State Patrol. Oh my gosh, he is with us live on a Saturday, LivePD Nation. So see, you may not see him on screen right now, but we've got him on video for him, video and audio, and he's going to answer your questions. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Hey, Larry. How are you, man? Thanks for having me.
You know, I am really good. I mean that with all my heart because, you know, I've missed you, brother. I really have. You, you know, let me just start out by saying this, okay? I had a lot of people last night hitting me up with the Utah, you know, patrol not being on LivePD enough and all this stuff and what the heck, and we miss him and all that stuff. You know, and let me just say how popular he was, okay? When we did the announcement last night during the first 15 minutes of hour 2 of the show, all right, what happened was things went ballistic. I mean, he had, like, I think it was 60 likes in 15 minutes. Now, that's insane for while the show's being on. So truly, Sergeant Moreno, that is, I think you broke the record last night for likes on an announcement. So,
I'm sure we're, oh man, that's pretty good.
That's really good. We are honored. I mean, honored to have you, a guy who's been in New York, a guy who's been on the show, a man who has raised up to the ranks of sergeant, and truly has earned his stripes. Put it that way. All right, it's Saturday, LivePD Nation. This is all new for us. We're usually here on Fridays, but we're in between the two shows. And the reason why was Sergeant Moreno actually said, well, when would you like to do it? He was that accommodating. So I want to thank you for that. Let's start out. How long have you been with the Utah Highway Patrol? Actually, it's in Utah. It's the state troopers, right?
Yeah, we're state troopers.
Okay. Tell me, how long have you been with them?
I've been with them for about 17 years now. Yeah.
No way.
Just a little more. Just, yeah, a little over 17 years now.
You do not look older than 25 years old. How in the heck do you manage that? I'm 54, and I'd give anything to look half my age. You, seriously, 17 years? My goodness. What did you do before that? Were you in the military, Sergeant Moreno?
No, I was not in the military. Actually, just I was a college student, and I went to San Diego State University where I got my degree in criminal justice. So I went from high school to college, university. So
good for you.
I really joined the military.
Wow. So were you a California kid growing up?
Yes, I actually was born in Mexico. Believe it or not, I was born in the border in Baja.
All right, folks, we're back. Sorry, technical difficulties. I apologize for that. Truly do. You know, we do this organically. I must tell you, the equipment we have is not like, you know, the big stuff, you know, like they have in New York. But we do the best we can to make this organic so people on LivePD Nation can see it. And you can see it right there from your homes or your desks at work, and you can watch them and listen and all that stuff. And I literally just had a family member who I told, don't ever call me on this number on days I tell you to. And so last night I told her, do not call me tomorrow. I'll call you. And she said, okay, honey. It's my aunt. She's old. But I love her because she's like my aunt, you know. And when you get to be my age, having anybody alive still is good. But that's too much of my personal information. Why'd I give it to you? I don't know. We're back here with Sergeant David Moreno. And we were just talking about him growing up in California. So you grew up in Baja Norte then?
Yes, Baja Norte.
Wow, that is so cool. I used to take a group of kids to San Vicente down there. And every summer. Do you? Yeah, you used to. You know, we found out for people who've never been to at least Baja part of California, you go through Tijuana, and oh my gosh, oh, beautiful. You are absolutely, it's understatement when you go down through there in Rosarito Beach, and you know, then you keep heading south, and I mean, it is stunning. It really is where you're at. So that's good stuff. And then so you got your degree at San Diego, and then went into law enforcement direct. Now, was the Utah State Patrol your first position there, Sergeant?
It was with the Utah Highway Patrol.
That's pretty cool.
I always wanted to be a state trooper ever since I was a little kid.
Is that right? Wow. Well, I've got to tell you something. I can see where that would be something that would be really, really to reach your goal of what you always wanted to be right out of school and get it is really, really cool. And for folks that don't know about Utah, you know, I don't know how many state parks your state has. I don't know how many state parks your state has. But in the state of Utah, they have 5 national parks. That's how incredibly beautiful Utah is. 5 national parks. Here in Oregon, we brag about our beauty all the time. We have 1, and they got 5, okay? We were talking earlier on the phone, Sergeant Moreno, about some of that. So we'll get back to that. Talk about finding out that you were going to be live on the show in New York. I'm interested in hearing the story about that, and what it was like for you, and you know what it was like to be on the show. Talk to us about that.
You know, my boss, Commissioner Squires, he was the one that was going to be on the show. So he got the invitation, and then he was told that he could bring somebody with him. So my boss has a really good working relationship with A&E. I mean, they've done shows in the past, so I mean that's where the connection starts.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know, I'm sure that a lot of it had to do with me being on social media and a lot of people getting to know me on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I was on the show a lot here in Utah. So, and then I was one of the first ones too. I was on the very first episode of LivePD when it started with Stiggs and Danny Brown, Lieutenant Brown, out in South Carolina. So it was us, one of the pioneers of the show. So it was really awesome when they called me, and when my commissioner called and said, "Hey, you coming with me?" So,
oh man,
it was an honor.
You know, that's really cool. To be there at the very beginning too. We had a chance to talk to Danny Brown. In fact, when you see this on replay, my friend, you'll see I have. Well, truth be told, Sergeant, I didn't have a whole lot of hair to begin with, but I shaved what I had left off for Danny Brown's fundraiser for cancer research.
Oh, you did?
I did. So I'm kind of a cross between like a hobo and Uncle Fester right now. So anyway, we're working on trying to look better, but you know, trying to find a way. But we are, you know, that's
not a lot of people know that Danny and myself and Stiggs were on that very first show.
How about that? Now, how about that, Live PD Nation? Now, see, what we tell you about in these interviews. Now, listen, you people that are watching this, I want you to do me a favor, and I've never asked this before. Go off and retweet that this interview's on right now, okay? And tell everybody else to do the same thing and come back here right away. We're going to talk about dribble for the next 3 minutes, and we're going to give you guys a chance to retweet. This is stuff y'all need to hear because this is really cool stuff that we don't hear about. So you all were on you're on show number 1.
Yeah, show number 1, the very first one. It was Stiggs, myself, and Danny Brown. You know, those guys are still on the show sometimes. So, you know, it's good to be part of that group. I mean, it was a special moment when we got that call, you know, that I was going to be on that show. So,
wow.
I mean, we're pioneers. I mean, that's always, I'm always going to have that. I'm always going to be the first one on Live PD, which is so cool.
You know, that is absolutely. I love stuff like that, Sergeant Moreno, because for me, history is such a big deal. I mean, I love history of the world. I mean, I'm a big World War II history guy. I really am. I mean, I could talk to you all about Pacific or the European theater, but I love the history of stuff. And when I find out about shows like that, I mean, that's fascinating. And then you had also the honor of coming back as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, Utah's been coming back. I mean, we normally go on Live PD and then we take a few months off,
Mm-hmm.
and then we come back again. So, we tend to take a lot of breaks here in Utah from LivePD. I mean, a lot of people don't know, but it can be kind of demanding sometimes. I mean, there's a lot of paperwork that goes into this, and, it's just a lot of work. And I'm sure some of the officers, get a little burned out on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that comes just with the territory. I mean, it's part of LivePD, and Utah's really good about that, about keeping their officers fresh and making sure that they don't get burned out. So it's been fun. It's been a great ride.
Well, Sergeant Moreno, that answered our question right there. That is exactly what answered our question, which was I must have had 5 or 6 DMs last night on Twitter saying, well, what the heck? They're never on anymore, and I'm really frustrated with that. And it's not from lack of input, okay? It's not like you guys don't have things to share, okay? You guys have had, okay, I think you were a part of the famous chase where the guy, they were coming in from Colorado, and Colorado had called you folks and said they needed an assist. Spikes were deployed, and the guys ran into the desert.
Yeah.
Yep, you were on that one. I remember that, and that was an amazing episode. That's when I knew that I'd been on the same highway, and that would have been Highway 70, right?
Yeah, that was Highway 70. Yes.
Yep. When I came back, folks, you've heard me tell the story about my Camaro a few times. This isn't about that Camaro. Just let it be known, I came through Highway 70, that same area, and I recognized it because it's so beautiful there. I mean, you come out of Colorado along the Colorado River and you hit Utah, and I mean, you're up. Do you know, Sergeant Moreno, that the first rest area, the first one you get to when you come out of Colorado, how high that is? Because the view you have from up there is huge.
Yeah, I mean, it must be almost a mile high.
Yeah, it's huge, and you're looking down into the state. I mean, folks, truly, Utah is stunning. And so this is where this man works every day. And when we talked before the show, we discussed about place he'd been, because I asked him about the Highway 70 story. And he said, well, yeah, Highway 70, Highway 80, Highway 17. And, he's all over the state. So you pretty much cover the entire state then, or just kind of the part where the highways all come together?
Yeah, I mean, I've been part of a lot of different teams and a lot of different, I've been part of the criminal and addiction team, which is a team that goes throughout Utah, and they focus a lot on drug trafficking,
Mm-hmm.
and human trafficking. So I've been part of that team. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the assignments, you have to go outside of Salt Lake City, which is our capital. And then, so you get to work down on I-15 by St. George, by the Nevada border.
Mm-hmm.
You get to work by the Colorado border. So you travel all over the state. So it's been fun to be able to work all these highways in Utah. Oh,
yeah, and quite different, too, right? Because when you're out on 70 going towards Colorado, you're near Moab and Arches and all that. I mean, folks, wow, you got to go to Utah. I mean, seriously, if you've never been, go at least to see Sergeant Moreno and shake his hand, for God's sakes. So you've at least heard the answer about why the folks from A&E Network are not always on LivePD now, okay? That was one of the questions that came over and over again last night. I really answered it 4 times, and it was because of the fact that the Utah Highway Patrol does sometimes need a break because they've got a job to do. So it's not really anybody's fault. It's that, of course, I know we would all agree we want them to do their job, and we want them to be, safe as well, and we want them to be able to do their job the way that they have to. So, kudos to you guys, man.
We do love working with LivePD and A&E. They're just so professional, and we really, really do enjoy it. So I know my colonel, my commissioner here at the Utah Highway Patrol, they just have an awesome working relationship with A&E, and the commissioner has said that he will continue to support this LivePD because he understands how important it is for us to build those relationships with our community. So, it's great. Today I was working today, and like 5 different people came up to me, and they were just like, "Hey, you're the guy from LivePD. You're the guy from LivePD." 5 people today. It is so crazy because I feel like sometimes I can't even do my job anymore because the minute they see me with LivePD, they just feel like they know me, and I feel bad or trying to lecture them because they're just so excited to see me.
Yeah, they're always like, no, did you sign the ticket? Did you sign the citation?
Yeah, so it's like, oh man, hi, nice to meet you too.
Wow, that's pretty cool. You know, that was one of the questions I had was, has the show brought you more notoriety or at least visibility? And you've just answered that question, Sergeant Moreno. It has. Wow.
Sorry, I'm answering all these questions.
No, you're good. You're good. You keep rolling right along. I'll just let you talk because that's what this is really, truly about. I'm good with that. I really am. I think that's what this is about. Wow.
You see the citizens, and they have this admiration for you, and it's just pretty awesome when you see their faces and they feel like they know you, because then you just know at that moment that you are making a difference in their lives, and they just totally respect you. So it's been such a positive, and the Highway Patrol understands that, and it's just been awesome to be able to work with A&E and LivePD.
Well, what a treat it is. We are on the phone here with Sergeant David Moreno from the Utah Highway State Patrol. And the cool part about this, he was on show number 1. Yep, on show number 1, folks. If you come here late,
yes,
he was on show number 1 for LivePD.
And you know what? When I got the call from my colonel, it was like, hey, we're going to be doing this show on A&E, and it's only going to be 8 episodes, and then you're going to be done. We were like, oh, okay, 8? And yeah, we're just going to do 8 shows and call it good. And it was just like, okay. So we just signed up for 8 shows. And
Excuse me.
It's over 100 now. So it's just been incredible. We never would have imagined that it was going to be this.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something?
This.
And a trivia question would be, can you name all the people who've been on there twice? Okay, this would be people who've been on there or more than twice. In this case, you've got a guy who's been on there twice, right?
Twice? What do you mean, like?
I'm sorry, you've been on the show, actually. Were you on for all 8 shows initially?
I was on the first one, and then I wasn't on the second because we started rotating some of the troopers here in Utah.
Okay.
And then I think I came back to the 3rd and 4th.
Okay.
And then I did the 6th and 7th, and then so on.
So you've been on the show now, in total, you've been on the show 6 times. You'd be 6, right?
No, probably more than that, because then we took a break, and then we came back again.
Look at this guy.
And then we took another break, and then we came back again. So we've been on and off with LivePD probably like 3 or 4 times. So.
Wow, that's cool stuff. Okay.
I've been on the show, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 times.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so here's Sergeant Dave Moreno. David Moreno, right here, the man who's the veteran of the show and can tell you stories about the very beginning. So if you have a question you'd like to ask him, go ahead and type it on the screen. We will make sure and ask him as long as we haven't been over that before. So please make sure and just go ahead and type it on the screen. Sergeant Moreno, could you talk about some of the community service work you guys are involved in over there?
Some of the things that I like to do personally, I like to visit the hospital, the kids' hospital here in Utah, in Salt Lake. I mean, especially during the holidays. I mean, it's one of my favorite things to do. To visit kids that are fighting cancer, and you can just bright up their day when you walk into those rooms and they see you, and you're holding a teddy bear and you give them a teddy bear, or you give them a police badge. It's just so excited to see you. So that's one of the things that I like to do. We also have a lot of refugees here in Utah that are coming into our state from the Middle East, from Iraq, from Africa. We have a lot of refugees from Africa as well. So when they come to Utah, they don't know the laws here in the state. So one of the things that I like to focus on is educate them on some of the laws here in Utah. So that's one of the things I do. I try to be out there with the community, and especially with the minorities, because, myself being a minority and coming from another country, I mean, I had to learn the language, I had to learn the law, so I really take that personal, and I really try to help those people that are coming here to become law-abiding citizens here in our state.
Thank you for that. That's a really good answer. And what I liked about that, Sergeant Moreno, was you mentioned coming from another country yourself. Now, let me just say this. I admire you for what you were able to do, because, you did it legally, which is cool. You had to learn a second language, which I could never do. You truly had to go through so much just to do what and you're a very successful person. Congratulations to you, sir. Truly, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
I've got to go through all my questions for you because we've kind of flown by a few of them here. Tell me, when you're working with LivePD, now I know that they're not just there on Friday and Saturday nights when you're working with A&E Networks. Tell me what the average week's like, if you would, please, Sergeant Moreno.
Okay. I mean, every day you're out there recording. I mean, these guys probably work 5-6 days a week. I mean, but we have different officers in Utah, and I'm sure the other departments do the same, where they rotate officers. So they don't ride with you the entire week. They ride with you a couple times a week.
Okay.
And then on Fridays and Saturdays, that's when you go live. So these guys, these camera guys, and these producers are working out there with the guys pretty much 10 hours a day or sometimes more. And they're just recording thousands of hours just out there during the week, just recording for packages that they can use during the show.
Wow.
So you really get to become really good friends with these people, and they just become like family because they're out there riding with you in your vehicle, and you're spending so much time with them, and they know so much about you because you're talking to them, and you just get to know them in a really personal relationship with these guys, so you just become like family with them. It's pretty awesome. I mean, my camera guys, JM, and they're just so cool. Jonathan, and a lot of people don't know these guys because they're the behind the scene guys, but you have such an admiration for the work that they do because they try so hard to make you look good, and everything that they record and the way they talk to you. I mean, you just really become a family, and it's just great to have those kind of relationships with these guys. These are going to be relationships that I'm just going to have for the rest of my life with these people. It's pretty awesome.
That's cool. Sounds like these guys have become friends then in your life, and people that that you admire for what they do in their own way too. Because now, when you're working with them, you've got is it? I've heard 3 people. You've got a camera person, you have a sound person, you have a producer. Is that correct?
Yeah. In Utah, we had 5 of them. We had a couple camera guys. We had a couple, one producer.
Okay.
An audio guy, and then another producer as well. So there were a total of 5 people.
Wow.
And they're just great to work with, and they just become your family. They know everything about you. They know everything about your life. They know everything about your families, your kids, and it's just you know everything about them. So you spend a lot of time together in the vehicle, and in the office, and in the field, and it's just really, really enjoyable.
That's cool. We're on the phone here with Sergeant David Moreno of the Utah State Patrol, and we're very honored to have him. We truly are. Folks, if you have any questions for him, please feel free to type on the screen. We will ask them if appropriate, and as long as we haven't went over them, we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. If we've already answered it, we won't go back over old territory because we've got him on his time. So we're very grateful for that. Sergeant Moreno, what do you think has been now you've got a lot of history here with A&E Networks and LivePD. Can you pick? I can't ask you for just one now. I've got to ask you, can you maybe name a couple memorable moments you've had while you've been on the show, or even been in New York watching the show with them on set?
I think people would know me for the ducks that I saved. I don't know if you saw that episode.
Yes, I did.
That was a pretty cool thing. I mean, I get so many messages about that, and when people see me on the streets, they remind me that I'm just the guy that saved those ducks, and everybody thinks it's the coolest thing ever. So, you go to these calls, and you just don't know which ones are going to go viral, and which ones are just going to take off. I mean, that was one of those that, I'm just responding to some baby ducklings on the highway that were left stranded by their mom. And, you show up and you rescue these ducks and you put them back in a pond and you don't think anything of it. And then after you do that, you start getting all these messages and people, all these animal lovers, they just think it's the greatest thing ever. And it's pretty amazing. So
and
that
it
was pretty cool. And a lot of people know me because of that.
It was, and that was, that was a neat episode because you saved them, and when people see that and they see that side of say a trooper or a deputy or an officer, that makes them real. Okay, that makes them not just this person behind a shield. This makes them like they are. And I think that leaps off the screen at people, truly, Sergeant Moreno, because you identify with people then in their own way because they see you as a human being, and that to me is when you connect. What's interesting,
Yeah, you know what?
I'll tell you what's interesting. No, go ahead, please. I interrupted you. Please.
No, that's fine. I think I interrupted you. I just want to say that it's not always just about taking the bad guys off the street and removing all these drugs off the street. Sometimes, it's about community policing, about doing the right things. It's about serving people and being there for people. Because you're going to meet people at some of their lowest moments in their lives. And it's about showing compassion and showing that you really care for them as a public servant. I mean, that's what we do. We're here to serve people, and doing little things like that, like rescuing little ducklings from the highway, or I pulled over these Chinese tourists too that were so excited when I pulled over.
Who had they wanted the pictures with you.
Yeah, they wanted pictures with me. And I'm like, okay, and it's like doing the little things like that just makes such a big difference in people's lives because we're there to be public servants and to serve.
That was for me personally, seeing that episode, I've got to tell you, that was I laughed. I laughed because it was an honest human moment, and there they are. Oh, we get picture, and there you were, and you smiled as big as you could. That was really cool. What was interesting is yesterday we had the chance to talk with Deputy Mark Peeney of Pasco County, Florida, and I asked him about his memorable moment, and his also had to do with an animal. Now, he's a canine deputy, and so his was finding a pig, saving a pig, and that was his memorable.
I remember that one.
Yeah, and that was his memorable moment. Now, I talked to somebody a state west of you, Lieutenant David Berukowitz, a few weeks ago, and he mentioned, well, we had this episode just last week with this turkey. It was right, we're all mentioning the animal kingdom here. And then what was big last week? The white rat. So there you go. I mean, we're all just kind of going into this here.
Animal shows they tend to go viral. People just love animals. I mean, there's a lot of animal lovers out there, which is cool.
Yeah.
And for us to be able to show that side of law enforcement and to show that we really do care for these animals too, I mean, it just makes us human.
Yes, it does. And that's exactly the point that I think you drove home when that happened, was you became one of us. You became someone who is just, Mark and Sally Smith watching TV on a Saturday night and saying, wow, that was cool. That's what I would have hoped to have done too. And that was good. Sergeant Moreno, thanks for doing that, because that was a very human moment. It really was. How large, we kind of briefly went over this, about how large is the area you're currently a part of right now, meaning in square miles? About how far do you travel? And you don't have to give me cities or counties, but just kind of an idea about how far you go on a normal week.
Let's say, I've been working Salt Lake County, which is the capital. Salt Lake City is the capital of Utah. So that's where I've been stationed for the last 7 years.
Okay.
So that's where I've been staying, and I probably drive about a day. I probably put about 150 miles a day in my police car.
Okay, all right. So about 150. Yeah.
Yeah, about 150, between 100 and 150 miles.
Okay, all right.
A day is what I drive.
And that's.
And you're out there serving people. You obviously want to focus on saving lives, which is what I do. I mean, you go out there thinking that you're going to go out and make a difference, and you don't want people to die on the highway, because we lose about 250 people every year on these roads in Utah. And every fatality that happens on the highway, during my shift, I just take it so personal, and I feel like maybe I'm not doing my job well enough, because I don't want people to be dying. I wish I could save people, and so I pull over people that are going fast, that are going 90 plus, 80 plus, and I try to try to make them slow down. I pull over people that are not wearing their seatbelts, and I try to lecture them to make sure that, explain to them that the seatbelt could save their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my main goal. I mean, the other day I had somebody that was going to jump from a highway overpass that was, having some mental issues.
Oh, gosh. Oh, I'm sorry.
Emotional distress in his life. And, a lot of people use the highways, structures, and overpasses to end their lives. And I was able to grab them and bring them to safety. So, every day, you don't know
there you go,
what's
everybody.
happen, but you go with that mentality thinking, I'm gonna save lives today, and that's the goal.
Sergeant Moreno, thank you. Thank you for your service. People don't realize, because they watch the show on Friday and Saturday nights, then they go back to their normal lives. For some of us, we stay on Twitter and we talk about it all week, but, there are people that go back to their normal lives, it's normal. But thank you for doing what you do, because you're right. I mean, it is hard. I used to live in Minnesota, where it is a state law that if in the wintertime, if you see someone walking on the road, you have to pick them up, or you have to make sure that they are safe, because it will kill you at 40 degrees below zero out there. Exposure happens quickly. So you guys also have some pretty bad winter weather there and some pretty hot summer weather too. That stuff can happen. So I can imagine how you, as a dedicated person as you are, that would hurt. But you've done a heck of a job. You really have. I know the people in LivePD Nation see you as a hero, because I've never seen so many likes on a tweet in my life as I did last night with your picture on it. So you are a pretty big guy. You are well respected.
I think Tom's going to get you more next week.
Oh, we'll see. There's an interesting story here. Okay, we're going to see. This is an interesting story. Okay, now I say this with all reverence, and I mean this with all reverence. For us that do remember LivePD Radio Mike. Okay, Mike was a guy who lived in Oklahoma. He ran a radio show which was run out of Southern California. They basically had a call screener and a producer there in Southern California, and they ran the show that way. But Mike ran the show live from his home, and I believe it was his home. I'm guessing here, but I know it was in Oklahoma. So Mike would talk, and he had headphones, and he would do the radio show just like normal. And there's plenty of companies out there that run as a second party, company that runs radio shows on the internet like that. Anyway, so LivePD Radio Mike did that because he wanted to do that. That was what, like with me with radio, Mike was the same way. And Mike passed away on February 13th of this year, and it was a terrible, terrible loss. And I've got to tell you, I was driving to California that day, and I heard about that, and I literally froze. I looked at my wife, and I said, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Here's an interesting story for you. The last person on his show was Tom Morris Jr., who is our next interview next Friday. The interviewee he was supposed to have next, Sergeant David Moreno. Now, I'll tell you something. I am a person that believes in God very strongly, and I do believe that God gets it right every single time. Mike did hundreds of interviews, and I am honored to know that these were in reverse order, his interviews. And when you told me that today, Sergeant Moreno, I got the chills, because Mike was a good man. He really was. And I'm glad he was going to have you on, and I'm sorry he didn't, because he was truly a good person.
Yeah, we were supposed to do it the next day after he passed away, and I was just shocked.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in disbelief. I couldn't believe it.
Yep.
So now we're doing it for him.
Here we are. We're doing it for Mike. We're doing it for Mike, and this is in Mike's honor for sure. And I mean that with all sincerity. This one is for you, Mike. Okay. If you could, here's a question from now. I don't want to offend you. This is from Lieutenant Dan's crazy crew, who would be Danny Brown, someone you know. Okay. Oh, and look at this. She times it out. Okay, now look, we're at the point of the interview, and she goes and she pastes it on the screen. She just literally came on and she pasted it on the screen. I'm about to ask you the question. Look, I've got to tell you, you think I'm kidding. I will show you. And Sergeant Moreno, you're going to see this when you watch the replay of this. I was asking question 8, okay? Okay, there it was right there, all right? Lieutenant Dan's crazy crew had a question, and it was a great one. And so we borrow this question for everyone we interview. And so you now will be part of that fraternity, all right? If you could meet anybody famous, anyone, who would it be?
Oh, man.
Anyone famous?
Anyone famous?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That is a tough one. I mean, I just admire so many different people in so many different aspects of life. I mean, from sports to music to politics. I mean, there's just so many different people.
Let's come back to that one. We can come back to it if you want to. But if you tell me John Stockton or Karl Malone, I might. I don't know.
Yeah, you sound jazz. No,
those two.
An autograph ball from Karl Malone.
Really? Really? You know, I hear
Yes,
both. I hear both of them were very, for law enforcement, very, very kind people, and I know that they were good. Now she's laughing at you on the screen. I want you to know. She said, "I stumped 2 Leos, LOL." So she's enjoying this moment right now with you trying to answer her question.
Oh my goodness! You know what? I do have a lot of respect for a lot of people in a lot of different walks of life. Mm-hmm. But you know what? The people that I admire the most, it's got to be my parents. I mean, I know they're not famous, but the fact that they brought me to this great nation and gave me an opportunity to do this, to have a chance at life, to live my American dream. I mean, I feel like I'm always forever grateful to my parents. I mean, they're my role models. They're my joy, my life. I mean, the fact that they just gave me that chance to live this kind of life is just something that I'm always going to treasure and I'm always going to love them for.
That was the most beautiful answer we've ever had on the show. Folks, for you that have not heard, maybe you've heard the answers before for the other interviews, but that was right there. That was beautiful. That was from the heart, and thank you for that. Thank you for that moment, because that moment right there is a moment that again humanized you. In fact, Brenda Serrano from Portland, Oregon just said, and that just made me love him even more. I mean, that right there, my mother, Sergeant Moreno, my mother taught me, and now I'm a little older. Okay, I'm a lot older than you. But my mother taught me something at a young age, and she said, always remember where you came from. And she wanted me to always honor where I came from, what we had. And my mom being a single mom and doing the best that she could with what she could come up with, I do. I mean, I appreciate her. I was the first child ever born for a baby, where the mother had open heart surgery during her pregnancy. I was the first child born in history alive. My first 3 years, I was a poster child for the Oregon Heart Association. But, it's funny, at 54 years of age, I mean, that's so long ago. It's like way in the past, rearview mirror, all that stuff. But what you just said was so beautiful. It was beautiful. Phyllis just saying, David is awesome, such a good-hearted person. This is the kind of stuff you do, like with the Ducklings episode. This is the stuff that you do, and I think this is what makes you so special to people, and why you need to be on LivePD some more. And I mean that sincerely. I know you were on the show and on the panel and all that stuff, but Sergeant Moreno, this is why you truly should be on the show more, because you connect well with people, and you connect with them because you are more like them than you are like what people see you as, In fact, I've just got someone from a long-haul trucker, Dustin Cummings, I'd like to meet David sometime when I stop in the Salt Lake City area, he just said. So there you go.
Yeah, we'd love to meet him, obviously, yes.
There you go, Dustin. You've got an invite. He'd love to meet you.
Office, and I'll be happy to take a picture with them and just hang out for a little bit.
There, you hear that? He will take a picture with you. That's pretty cool. Like the Chinese tourists, right?
Exactly. I've done it before, so I have experience. And you know what? And also the Youth Highway Patrol has been such a great agency. And, they're the ones that gave me a chance to live my dream too. So I'm always forever going to be grateful to them as well. So, and the fact that they, selected me out of like 600 other officers to be on the show, I mean, that's just amazing. And I'm always going to love this agency that I work for. And, I'm always going to, treat it like a home. Like you treasure your home, and the Utah Patrol is always going to be my home, and and I'm always going to love this organization that I work for, and I never want to bring discredit or bring embarrassment to this agency. So I'm just forever grateful to this great organization that I work for.
Well, we're on the phone with Sergeant David Moreno, and I've got to say this is probably my favorite interview of all, and LivePD Mike, God bless you for that, because you have truly done something here, because this is pretty cool. Got a congratulations from Dustin on your new baby. So
thank you.
Congratulations on the new baby, and how is your sleep going? Is it going okay?
Actually, I still got another 2 months. So.
Okay, so you're preparing yourself.
Gonna come in a couple months.
You're preparing yourself.
We're getting ready for that.
And I'm sure Nana and Papa are very excited.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. That's pretty cool. We're on the phone with Sergeant David Moreno of the Utah State Patrol, and we just have him for a few more minutes. So if you have some questions, please type them on the screen. David, Sergeant, what is one of the biggest problems facing your department crime-wise right now? Is it the drug trafficking? Is it, something else? Talk to us about that.
You know what? Yeah, as an agency here, we're always going to focus on the DUIs. I mean, a lot of people driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs. We've seen a lot of an increase of people taking prescription medication and driving under the influence of those medications that are prescribed, and obviously the controlled substances such as meth and heroin. A lot of people driving under those influences. Mm-hmm. And then the alcohol, I mean, we're still going to be fighting that crime. I mean, that's going to be always our bread and butter, because we want to save lives, and we don't want people to be driving intoxicated behind the wheel. So we always push into that. We had a campaign the other day where we were for St. Patrick's, where we were just going on local outlets, local media outlets, and just letting people know, please use Uber, take a cab, call a friend, have a designated driver, but please don't get behind the wheel. So that's probably going to be always the biggest crime that we're always going to fight. Mm-hmm. And we also see an increase on human trafficking and drug trafficking.
Tell you in a second.
So we got to focus on that kind of stuff as well.
Okay. I'm sorry, Sergeant. I was walking around here a second ago. I actually just heard one of my dogs choking, and I had that problem yesterday. So I had to check on him, so I apologize. I have been listening to the drug issues and all that stuff that you're facing, and it's terrible to have to go through that. Are you seeing it more of an increase with the younger generation now? And, you have states that are close to you now that have legalized marijuana as well. So, Colorado being the first, has that become a real big problem in Utah?
We're seeing a lot of marijuana trafficking. I mean, we've seen a lot of people that go from the East Coast back to the West Coast to get marijuana, because it's a lot better in the West Coast. So, so we do see an increase when we pull over people in Utah that are traveling by. I mean, we see a lot of cars with hundreds of pounds of marijuana. So we do see that more often now that some of these states have legalized it.
Sergeant Moreno from the Utah State Patrol, you were talking about your dad, and you struck a nerve not only with me, but with also a few listeners who are with us here. Do you want to add any more to that at all? Is there any more you'd like to share for other people to know about? Because, you were so good at naming your parents as people who are your heroes, and dang it, man, that was amazing. That was you just hit a home run, okay? But also able to say the weaknesses. How is your dad doing?
My dad's doing great now. I mean,
good.
It was rough when I was growing up in Mexico and growing up as a kid, because my dad was an alcoholic. and that's one of the reasons why I became a state trooper, because I would see my dad drive intoxicated with me in the car when I was growing up, and every time he saw a highway patrol officer, he would always try to hide from them. He would pull into people's driveways, strangers, and then or he would pull into a gas station and just pretend like he's getting fuel, or do little things like that to avoid being pulled over by the California Highway Patrol. So that's where my fascination came, and that's really what started my career with the Highway Patrol, because I wanted to be the guy that arrested people like my father that drove intoxicated. So I don't know how he's still alive. He's still with us. I'm surprised that
by the grace of God, my friend. By the grace of God. Yeah.
There were some times where he drove so bad that it really, really scared the crap out of me. So it was tough growing up with that. I mean, but then he changed his life and he became a Christian man, and he doesn't drink anymore. So it's been awesome to be able to have that kind of relationship now with my dad that I didn't have when I was a little kid. So it's pretty awesome to see that.
Sergeant David Moreno of the Utah State Patrol. It truly, wow. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I have one final question. If anybody has a final question for him here, I know he's got to get back to his day. Thank you, first of all, for taking time out to you know.
It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor.
Well, thank you. Well, no, please believe me, the honor's been mine, and I mean that with all my heart. This is the best interview I've ever had. Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much. For one time, I'm going to make you, I'm not going to call you Sergeant. I'm going to call you David. David, thank you for that. I mean that. You were human. You were real. And that's the one thing you want more than anything, is to have that experience. And you did that. Thank you for that. Final question. Tell your wife hello from Phyllis D, 1993. Supposed to tell your wife hello for her. So say, Phyllis said hi, and she's going to say, who is Phyllis? And then you're going to get in trouble. So just explain the interview part first, okay? So you don't get in trouble on that, okay? What advice do you have for an individual wishing to go into law enforcement?
Let's see. When you do this profession, you don't go in this for the money. So just know that you're not going to become rich doing this job. Mm-hmm. And that this job is all about public safety. So if you like serving the public, then this is the right job for you. If you just love and enjoy dealing with people every day, then this is the kind of job that you really, really going to enjoy. Because that's what it's all about. It's about interacting with the community. It's about saving lives. And it's about protecting. So if you really enjoy that, then go for it and do it. And don't look back, because you're going to have such a blast doing this job.
Wow. Utah State Trooper David Moreno, Sergeant David Moreno, it's been an honor. And I mean that with all my heart. It's been a true honor to have you. Do we have any final questions from the folks out there? And Sergeant Moreno, do you have anything you'd like to tell LivePD Nation?
No, you know what? It's just been such an honor to be on LivePD since the very beginning of the show. And it's just so cool to see how this show has become such a hit. It's one of the hottest shows in America, and people remind me of that almost every day when I go to work. People recognize me, and it's just been such a blessing to be able to be that representation of LivePD and the Highway Patrol, and it's just been an honor. So I just want to thank LivePD Nation for just making the show a success, and that's why I'd like to be on these shows, and that's why I was in New York, because I really, really appreciate the people. This show is for the people. We're here for them, and that's why I wanted to be on the show, because I want people to know that I'm here for them, and because they make the show a success. If viewers weren't watching the show, then we would have been off the air a long time ago. So LivePD Nation is responsible for all the success, and I'm forever going to be grateful for the people that take the time on those weekends to just sit down with their families and enjoy the show and watch its work. It's been such a blessing.
Wow, you tend. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find the right words. You've stumped me that much, and that doesn't happen very often. Wow, Utah State Patrol Officer Sergeant David Moreno, and David, well earned at Sergeant, and I think going up the ladder from there. It has been an honor today. It has been an absolute honor, and I've got Oregon loves you. I've got different states love you here on the screen. I'm looking at this, and Sergeant Moreno, you have done what you do very well. You have reached the people at their heart, and that is something so difficult to do when you are in a position of authority, because you still become human, yet you have a tough job to do. I want to ask you one final question. Do you have a second?
Yeah, of course.
All right. How hard is it for you to give a ticket to people? People don't get this because they think that, that the officers are just heavy-handed and that they keep their departments going with all these tickets, and that can't be farther from the truth. It really can't be. I mean, how hard is it to do that for you? Because you're a human being, and I know you can feel, you have an awful lot of empathy and compassion for people.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard sometimes because you really have to look at the whole picture. I mean, every traffic stop is different. Every person is going to be different. Every person is going to have a different story. Every person is having their struggles financially. So when you get somebody a ticket, I mean, they're going to be paying it, and they're going to be paying to the courts. So you always have that in mind. So it is hard for me sometimes to give people tickets, but I try to give probably 50% of the people break.
There you go.
We don't have any quotas in Utah, so I'm not required to go out and stop a certain amount of cars or give a certain amount of tickets. So I don't feel pressure to do that. So we don't do that. So I like it when people are very honest with me and they tell me exactly why they broke the law. And when they fess up and they tell you, yes, officer, I'm sorry, I know I was speeding for this reason. I mean, you tend to have compassion for those kind of people, and the people that are really, really struggling financially. I mean, you can tell which people are really struggling. The last thing you want to do is you give them a $500 ticket. So I'm always mindful of things like that. Mm-hmm. But when somebody is just like, hey, how come you pulled me over? I mean, you could have pulled over the other car. I mean, he was going faster than me. Those kind of people, you're like, okay, you deserve a ticket. So, it just depends on the people. It depends on the situation. But, you always have to keep, use discretion when you deal with people and make the right choice, always.
And as a person, I think he's just telling all of us in LivePD Nation to be honest. Okay, be transparent. Because, and there you go, D. Cummings is a long-haul trucker. Respect an officer usually goes a long ways. And I think you'd probably agree with that, wouldn't you? Yeah. All right.
Respect people, and you get the respect back.
Yep, there you go. Utah State Patrol Sergeant David Moreno, thank you. If you did not catch this entire interview, I want you to do this. The show doesn't start here for another 6 hours. Okay, I'm sorry, 3 hours in the East. I forgot here in the Pacific time zone because we get it, at 9 and it's recorded. We don't see it for a while, but you've got time to watch this interview. And I'm encouraging you to watch this interview because it's the best interview we've had, because this man has been not only very, very truthful with information that we don't know in LivePD Nation. I promise you probably don't know what he's going to tell you, but he also is truly very human and very real and transparent, and there's nothing more you want when you hear somebody in an interview. Sergeant Dave Moreno, thank you so much for what you've done. You truly have, you've come through, brother.
Thank you, Larry, for having me on the show. It's been an honor. And,
well,
I know you're going to have Tom. Tom's a great guy. I mean, when I met Tom in New York, he's just an amazing, amazing individual. I have so much respect for Tom, and he's going to do awesome on the show, too.
Well, you know what? We are a small jelly bean in a giant candy store, buddy. That's who we are. But we are honored to get a big candy bar like you, sir. Thank you. Sergeant David Moreno from the Utah State Highway Patrol. We are honored, and thank you so much for joining us. And For the people that wonder where they're at in LivePD Nation, why they're not on the show, I encourage you to watch the interview because you will get that answer, and he'll tell you so much more than that. He said his favorite music is pop, and he likes a little bit of alternative too, so a little semisonic closing time, appropriate. LivePD Nation, new show coming up at 9 p.m. tonight in the East and in the Pacific. God bless you. Be good people. Watch this interview in its entirety. You will not be disappointed that you did. I promise you.